Hey guys, this is Hannah and I'm doing another video. It's been a good while and I have a lot of things on my mind and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So, um, I am currently planning my wedding and I'm really excited about it. Um, and wanted to, I've noticed how weddings bring up most like it brings up a lot. So it brings up all your fears, your anxieties, the way you handle conflict, so many different things during the process. And um, I feel like all the things that I've talked about in my videos have come up in some way during this process, and I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that I've learned and um, some good ways that I've kind of put into practice some of the things that I've talked about. So I'll start off by saying some kind of just break down what are the things that um, stress me out. And it's funny because, people talk about weddings and just needing to make sure that you're enjoying the process and being present and remembering what it's about. And I've been really aware of that. And that's my intention, and that's where I want my mindset to be at. And I've noticed that it's easier to do it with some things than others. So, one thing that I've noticed being the thing that's more difficult to be more lax about and have more perspective on, and are decisions that I need to make that are going to impact other people. Um, or I am feeling that I'm not getting as much support as I need, and just how I'm handling that. Um, so, okay, so when it comes to just regular life, um, it's easy to um, it's easier to remember um, that you need to um, be aware of communication and expectations, and be aware of what you're bringing into it. So I that's something that I work on. I intentionally am always just trying to pay attention to that. With wedding stuff, the expectations that we bring in can really hurt us in the process, because um, you I've made the mistake of thinking that family issues or things that have been going on for years and years with, specific relationships, that it would be put aside for that. And um, it just made me think of how um, unrealistic that is. And um, either you have to know that, um, and I need to just be more mindful of having more realistic expectations, or be willing to address things that I haven't before, or address them more clearly so the conversation could go more smoothly, and things can hopefully get better. But you can't, like, I can't go into something thinking that people who haven't been able to, put their issues aside for me for years and years will be able to do it because it's for my wedding or whatnot. So expectation, that's huge, right? I mean, we do this in our life, so we can either I think when I look at my life, I see that there's like a spectrum in a lot of the things and how we live our lives and mindsets and attitudes and our tendencies. And one of the ones that I have to balance out is um, being idealistic and hopeful and see the good in people, while also kind of being a little cynical and a little jaded. And depending on the person, the relationship, and how I'm interpreting things, I'm better at keeping those expectations a little bit more realistic. So there have been times where I'll give people the benefit of the doubt, um, maybe, and it's unrealistic, because they've proven otherwise for many, many times. Um, or I can bring all those experiences into a new relationship and kind of be guarded and paranoid or whatnot, um, and perceive all these ideas and experience. I'm bringing that in, and not expecting more from them or expecting the worst. Um, so yeah, there's different ways that expectations kind of play into, our everyday lives. Um, and I've realized that that's at oftentimes the core of disagreements and hurt with other people. So I wanted to share with you guys something that I went through a couple weeks ago, and I hope that it may help you guys in thinking about how to approach difficult conversations when someone hasn't met the expectations that you're bringing in, um, and what you need from them. So, as I've talked about in other videos before, as an ENFJ, I like harmony, and I am also a people pleaser, and um, how much that conflicts with my desire to have authentic and open relationships. So that means for me, um, that I can't live my life not asserting myself and um, having those conversations, because if I'm avoiding them, people, I don't give people the opportunity to work on those things, and I limit how the relationship can grow and get better, and I can stay resentful, or I can continue to be disappointed. But I also need to take ownership of how I contribute to that. So it's something that, with all the wedding stuff and just in life in general, where I'm at in my life, I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of just being heard and not speaking up. And I feel like I, in my life, um, I've been fortunate enough to have people who really love me and draw that out in me. My fiance is extremely aware of that, and he always encourages me to speak up, even if it's to call him out on something. So that, I think that's really helped me, and I think it's made me mindful of relationships take work, and I have to do my part in that. So with that said, I think that um, I, it's come up for me that I need to bring up a few things with a family member who I have felt has been kind of checked out. And it's a significant family member that I was hoping would be more present and excited during this time of my life. And so, backstory, um, she has generally not been someone that seems super invested in, like, my life or asks me questions when we talk, and she talks about herself a lot, and I feel like I have a hard time connecting with her in that way. Um, but I know that she loves me and I know that she cares, and it's just kind of this dynamic that has been in our relationship for many, many years. Um, but with the wedding stuff, like I was speaking to before, I felt like I was waiting for it to be different because it was this, such a big deal for me, but it just wasn't happening. And I was listening to a podcast. It's like a wedding planning podcast, and it's really awesome. It's called Save the Date, and they had someone co-hosting, and they were speaking to how at the root of a lot of conflicts there's a lot of communication issues, and she gave a basically like a formula for bringing those conversations in and doing it in an effective way and doing it in an empathetic, understanding way. And I felt like this was the first time I heard someone talk about asserting yourself and having conversations in a very balanced way that felt true to how I would approach something. But oftentimes, when people give you that advice, they're either really, back to the spectrum thing, they're very either really passive and they dismiss it, and or they're irrational and really emotional and hurtful and sharp with their words, and neither of them felt right to me, right? Because I know that it needs to be addressed, even though that my tendency is to not want to, for the sake of harmony. But I also am mindful enough not to approach conversations in that way. So it would always leave me feeling like I don't know how to talk about it. And I studied psychology, and I work with people, and I work with a lot of children with behavioral health and mental health. So I'm very aware of conflict resolution skills, and people talk a lot about using I feel statements, which um, there's value to it, um, but it never gave me like a direction of where to take the conversation, and I always felt like when I used it, it became more about me being sensitive and my interpretation of what was happening, and it wasn't setting me up to come up with a solution or address what this brings up for me. Um, so so the formula that I that she spoke of was, I'll put her credentials and her name and the wedding podcast that I listened to down below, for any of you guys who are interested in it. But so she talked about using I notice, I worry, I wonder. So when you talk about I notice, you just basically call out what's going on. And then, whatever it is, the issue that you've observed. I worry. So you just talk about what your concerns are. And then I wonder, it's your opportunity to open up like problem solving and being curious. Um, so so in the situation, the conversation that I had, I was able to say, I notice whenever we talk about wedding stuff that you either change the subject or you don't ask many questions about it, or you just seem uncomfortable. Um, and, I worry that we're going to go through this process and I'm going to feel like you weren't involved. And I worry that my I'm not going to feel as supported and how that's going to make me feel, and how that may impact our relationship. Um, and I worry um, that it's because of, and then I talked about a specific um, family issue that I kind of had this I had this feeling that it was bringing up a lot for her, and that's why it was surrounding like the wedding. Anything that was surrounding the wedding um, was going to bring up all the anxieties that she had about that side issue. So I kind of reflected that as well. Um, and then I also talked about, and because of that, I wonder how we'll be able to meet in the middle, and um, and how we can get through this. Um, and talking, okay, so you guys, it was amazing having this conversation with someone who have always felt like wouldn't get it and hear me. Um, she did. Um, she's not really super open to kind of admitting things or being sensitive to what I'm bringing up. Um, and I really felt like I was able to say, you know, what I needed to, and I was actually, I felt like I communicated it in an empathetic way because I acknowledged that this issue that she was worried about was, she was bringing it in and it was affecting her. And I told her that I understood and I get it, and it would be insensitive of me to assume that it wouldn't bother her because um, because my wedding is so important. Like, I know the world will not stop for me, and and that's okay. But I also, you know, said, like, I don't want this to get in the way of you being excited with me, because right now it is. And I think she heard me, um, and I was also able to say, like, I don't mind you talking to me about it. Um, I just don't want to, like, I said it very clearly. I just don't want to hear it on the day of my wedding. I know you have all these worries. Please go to someone else. Like, I won't be able to be supportive the day of. And I also want you to remember that you may share things with me that I can't do anything with that information. I can't change anything. It is what it is, and I can be there to listen, but I that's all I can do in this. So I felt super empowered. I was like, I left that conversation feeling like we were able to kind of, pick specific things that I felt like she was kind of checked out in the process, and we visited them and we came up with some good solutions. And she said that she felt so much better about talking about that because that was really bothering her. And I said it's okay for you to feel. She was like, I didn't want to, like, she felt like she was walking on eggshells around it. And I said it's not about you not telling me those things, but I also need to hear that you're excited. I want to hear the positive things because right now I'm not getting that from you. And ever since then, and it's been a couple weeks, she's been a lot more verbal about how excited she is about this, and just really a lot more supportive. And I felt like that was just kind of what we've been needing to do for a long time now. But the wedding just kind of brought that up. And I just feel like I wanted to share that with you guys because I felt like it was a good way for me to approach a conversation that I would be reluctant to have. But it felt, like I said, it felt like a way that I would naturally want to have that conversation, but it allowed us to really like talk about it in a real way. So yes, that's like a major tool in my toolbox now. I feel like it I can use it for a lot of things and all types of relationships. And I wanted to share that with you guys and not only share that specific skill, but also that I needed to get outside of my head and just like talk about it and not be afraid and know that it's worth it. And even if and I had to go in there with realistic expectations too. And the possibility of her not being super responsive and that being okay, that doesn't need to be the final outcome. It was in this instant, but it won't always be. And I need to remember that it's more for me than anything, and that made me feel good. And that I just did it, and I did it for myself, and I did it for the sake of me knowing that I tried. And ultimately, I really do feel like our relationship is going to be stronger from it, and I think it's going to set this precedence for other things that may come. So yeah, this is a really long video, and I don't know if I'm going to cut it short. So if you listen to this for the whole entire time, I appreciate you, and I want to hear about anything that has helped you when you're getting yourself into a conversation that feels challenging and you feel like um, will it be worth it? Will it cause more harm than good? And kind of like what you do for yourselves, so that you can have those conversations and you can have ultimately more authentic relationships and feel like you're being true to yourself and not ignoring your needs and asserting yourself and setting boundaries. So this is definitely goes along with the theme, and I've mentioned this stuff before. Um, but yeah, this is kind of this experience that I wanted to share with you guys. And let me know what you guys think, if you guys have done it before, what's gone well, what have you learned along the way, or maybe share some things that you actually want, a conversation that you want to have. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I want to be more interactive in the comments, and I've had so many great positive responses, and every time I read them, I feel so thankful that you guys feel like you have someone to relate to, and that means so much to me, that you guys appreciate that and take the time to comment. So yeah, that's the video. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.